The hotel security footage they tried to delete. The elevator doors refused to close. That was the first thing that bothered Detective Mason Riley when he replayed the footage. The young woman inside, identified later as Elisa Morgan, 21 years old, stood in the corner, pressing every button on the panel like her life depended on it. Her eyes darted toward the hallway. Her lips moved like she was whispering to someone unseen. The lights flickered. Then the frame skipped for exactly 1 second. When the image returned, Elisa was gone. It was 2:46 a.m., February 4th, 2013. The last time anyone saw her alive. The next morning, a housekeeper reported water pressure problems in several rooms. 2 days later, Elisa's body was found floating in one of the hotel's rooftop tanks. The police called it an accident, but something about that footage, it didn't sit right with anyone who watched it. At first, the video was leaked to the public. Millions of views in a matter of hours. People said they saw shadows moving in the hall, something like a reflection slipping through the corner of the frame. And then 1 day later, the footage disappeared. Every upload, every mirror link. The hotel claimed it was taken down out of respect for the victim. But Detective Riley knew better. He had the original copy, the one with the missing minute. And he couldn't stop thinking about what was inside that gap. He watched it again, slow motion. Elisa's face, the elevator doors, her hand pressing against the wall. Then, just before the cut, there was a shadow sliding across the elevator threshold. But it didn't belong to anyone. No footsteps, no sound, just movement. That night, Riley stayed late at his office, reviewing every camera in the hotel system. He traced her steps, lobby, elevator, 14th floor hallway, then nothing. The security feed from that corridor was corrupted. Every file between 2:43 and 2:50 a.m. had been manually deleted. He called the hotel's IT tech, who sounded terrified when Riley mentioned the timestamp. "Sir, don't look at that file," the man said. "We were told not to." "By who?" A pause, then only static. Later that evening, when Riley tried to access the main server again, the screen went black. A single message appeared. "File restricted. Access denied." He leaned back, heart racing, and turned toward the security mirror on the wall behind him. For a split second, he could swear he saw Elisa's reflection, standing inside that same elevator, staring right back at him. And then the office lights went out. The lights came back on 30 seconds later, humming faintly. The reflection was gone. Detective Riley told himself it was fatigue. Too many late nights, too many cold cases. But deep down, something about this hotel case felt different. The Stanford Grand Hotel, downtown Los Angeles. Built in 1924. 100 rooms, all recently renovated, but with a history people didn't like to talk about. Rumors of strange noises from the old boiler room. Guests checking out in the middle of the night, claiming someone had whispered their names through the vents. Riley drove there the next morning, pretending to be just another city inspector. The lobby was quiet, too quiet for a building that size. A few tourists at the front desk, a janitor mopping near the elevator, and the faint hum of fluorescent lights echoing through marble floors. He walked to the front desk. "I need to speak with whoever handled the security system back in February." The clerk, a woman with pale eyes and a stiff smile, didn't even look up from her computer. "I'm sorry, sir. That system was replaced. All prior files were permanently deleted." He slid his badge across the counter. "Then you won't mind if I take a look." She hesitated, then turned her monitor slightly. The screen showed rows of folders, all labeled with date and time codes. But one folder, February 2013, was grayed out, locked. "Who has the password?" Riley asked. She didn't answer. Instead, she reached for the desk phone. Before she could dial, the elevator dinged. They both turned. The door slid open on their own. No one was inside. Riley walked toward it slowly. The same model, the same narrow interior he'd seen 100 times on screen. Even the panel lights matched the colors from the recording. He stepped inside. The air felt heavier. He pressed a button for the 14th floor. The door shut. As the elevator began to rise, the light above him flickered twice. Then The car stopped midway. He pressed the emergency button. Static crackled through the speaker, followed by a faint voice. "Don't look at her." Riley froze. "Who is this?" he asked. The voice repeated, whispering through the static, "Don't look at her." The elevator jolted back into motion, climbing fast now. Too fast. The lights flickered wildly. When the doors finally opened, he stumbled out onto the 14th floor. The hallway was empty except for a single housekeeping cart parked by room 1408. The door was half open. A faint dripping sound came from inside. Riley stepped closer, his shoes squeaking on the polished floor. He pushed the door gently. The TV inside was on, but not showing any channel. It was replaying the elevator footage, Elisa's final moments, on loop. Only this time, there was something new in the reflection behind her, a figure standing in the hallway. It turned its head slowly, straight toward the camera, and this time it smiled. Detective Riley's heart pounded as he stared at the flickering TV. The screen buzzed softly, and the image looped again, Elisa pressing buttons, glancing into the hall, terrified. Then that dark, human-shaped blur behind her, watching. The figure leaned closer toward the camera with each replay, until its face was almost touching the glass. Riley unplugged the TV. The screen stayed on. He backed away slowly, flashlight trembling in his hand. "Who's in here?" he demanded. His voice sounded smaller than he intended, swallowed by the empty room. No response, only that faint dripping sound. He traced it to the bathroom. The faucet was off, but water dripped steadily from a ceiling vent above the mirror. He climbed onto the counter and unscrewed the vent panel. A rush of cold air hit him, carrying the smell of chlorine and rust. A drop landed on his wrist. Thick, cloudy, not quite water. He shined his light up the duct, expecting to see pipes. Instead, he saw an eye. He dropped the flashlight. It clattered into the sink, beams spinning wildly across the tiles. When he looked back, the vent was empty. Then the TV clicked on again. This time, the footage had changed. The timestamp was wrong. It read live feed. Riley watched in disbelief as the elevator doors on the screen opened, revealing himself standing in the very same hallway outside room 1408. He turned toward the TV. On the screen, his reflection turned a split second later, like a delayed echo. The voice returned to the static, calm, almost kind. "You shouldn't have come back here, detective." Riley spun around, gun drawn, but the hallway was empty. Every door now hung slightly ajar. One by one, the lights above him began shutting off, moving closer with each flicker. He ran for the elevator. The button panel didn't respond. The display froze between floors. Then a new floor appeared, B3, a level that didn't exist. Without thinking, he hit it. The elevator doors closed and began descending deeper and deeper, the hum of machinery growing distant, until all he heard was the sound of his own breathing. The doors opened to darkness. Only his flashlight beam cut through the thick dust. It wasn't a basement. It was an unfinished sublevel, concrete walls lined with old equipment and leaking pipes. In the corner stood several large water tanks, rusted, dented, identical to the one where Elisa was found. He stepped closer, running his hand across the metal. Something thudded inside. Once. Then again. He leaned his ear closer. From inside the tank, a faint knocking answered him. 3 slow taps, then a pause, then 3 more. He whispered, "Elisa?" The lid of the tank shifted slightly, as if something underneath was pushing it open. A slow hiss escaped, cold mist rolling over the floor. Then a hand, wet and pale, slid out from beneath the lid and reached for his flashlight. Riley stumbled backward, tripping over a pipe, but the hand didn't follow. It just rested there, fingers twitching, pointing toward a corner of the room where a small red light blinked. It was a security camera, and its lens was aimed directly at him. Detective Riley's breath came out in shaky bursts as he pointed his flashlight at the blinking red light. The small lens stared back, unblinking, recording every movement. He felt suddenly exposed, like the room itself was watching him. The pale hand still clutched the edge of the tank, its fingers slowly curling inward, as if retreating back into the dark water below. Riley crept toward the wall where the camera was mounted. A thin cable ran from it, snaking along the concrete and disappearing into a maintenance tunnel. He followed it, gun drawn, heart thudding against his ribs. The tunnel narrowed, lined with pipes dripping condensation. Somewhere ahead, a faint hum of static filled the air, like an old TV tuned to a dead channel. The cable ended at a metal door marked Authorized Personnel Only. It was half open. He pushed it gently. Inside was a small room filled with old monitors, dusty keyboards, and reels of VHS tape stacked like tombstones. Every screen displayed the same live feed: the hotel lobby, the hallways, even the rooftop tanks, all cycling through in black and white. Then one screen flickered to life. The elevator view. But this time, Elisa was there again. She stood in the corner, her hair dripping wet, clothes clinging to her. Slowly, she turned toward the camera. Riley stepped closer. "Who did this to you?" he whispered. Her lips moved silently, forming a single word he couldn't hear. Then the feed glitched. Her face twisted, eyes turning completely black. The camera shook violently, and a whisper filled the room, not from the speakers, but from behind him. She wasn't supposed to be found. Riley spun around. A man stood in the doorway, gray uniform, hotel badge reading chief of security. His eyes were hollow, his voice calm. "You shouldn't have come here, detective. The footage was deleted for a reason." Riley raised his weapon. "You killed her." The man smiled faintly. "No one killed her. She saw something she wasn't meant to see. And now, so have you." Before Riley could respond, every monitor in the room blinked off at once. The hum of static faded into silence. Then one screen lit up again, showing himself, standing there in real time, the red rec icon flashing in the corner. The chief's reflection appeared behind him on the screen. But when Riley turned around, the man was gone. The lights flickered. The walls creaked. He backed toward the exit, gripping his gun tighter. But the elevator dinged somewhere above, echoing down the shaft like a warning. He found the ladder and climbed fast, desperate to reach the lobby. But when he pulled himself through the hatch, he wasn't in the lobby anymore. He was standing inside the elevator, the same one from the video. The buttons glowed faint red. His reflection in the mirrored door smiled back at him. Then the intercom crackled. A woman's voice whispered, soft but clear, "Don't look at her." The elevator doors slid open. The last thing Detective Riley saw was a tall, dripping silhouette standing just outside the threshold. The doors closed. The camera light blinked once. And somewhere deep in the server room below, a new file appeared on the hotel security system. February _2013 _elevator _02 _restricted.